Okay, it's 2 minutes past 7:30 p.m. IST here. Let's get started. Welcome everyone again. I am Arjun Esmeda, Director for Community and Learning here at Automation Anywhere, and I will be the host for the session. And we're going to talk about the AI Agent Studio, a topic which a lot of you are eagerly waiting for. So thanks a lot for joining us. Along with me, we have our expert product managers, Jason Trent. He's a director for product management, and he handles AI Agent Studio. Jason, would you like to say hi to our developers?
Thanks very much, Arjun, and welcome everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. As Arjun mentioned, my name is Jason Trent. I co-lead the AI Agent Studio offering here at Automation Anywhere with my partner, Rinku. I am also based in Texas, so howdy to everyone from Texas. We're really excited to see everybody join today.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. Next, we have Rinku Sarkar. She's also a director for product management. Rinku, could you please say hi to our developers and also mention about what you take care here?
Sure. Thank you, Arjun. Hello, everyone. Glad to meet you all. I'm here co-leading the AI Agent Studio alongside Jason, and my charter is to focus on the AI governance features and capabilities we are offering through this platform. Glad to meet you all.
Awesome. Thank you, Smita. Thank you, Rinku. So next we have Smita Biswas. She is a lead technical writer. Smita, would you like to say hi to our developers?
Hi, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon from wherever you are. I'm located in Santa Clara in the Bay Area, and I'm the lead writer for the Automation Anywhere AI Agent Studio product suite, and I'll be walking you through the documentation portal today. Glad to meet you.
Awesome. Thank you, Smita. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. A couple of housekeeping rules. Because this is a webinar format, all of you will be muted. However, you will have an option to type in any of your questions in the Q&A section. If you have any audio video issues, feel free to put that in the chat window. And this session is recorded, and we will share the recording with you all. We're going to upload this on YouTube, and we will mail you the link as well. Because this is like AI Agent Studio, we have just launched it and like as part of the 33, and we are going to talk about a lot of new features coming in. So that's why the safe harbor. So there are some forward-looking statements here. So if you're making a purchase decision, please be mindful about the discussion here in this session. In terms of the agenda, first, we're going to talk about what is AI Agent Studio, and we also have created prompt templates. We'll talk about what it is all about, how can you use it to build your automations. We also have a package that is Generative AI Prompt Template package, and Rinku is going to talk us about AI governance, and Smita will guide us through the docs portal content. And I will be back to talk about the upcoming meetup and also to take you around the latest courses in Automation Anywhere University. Before we start, if there are any questions, feel free to type it in the Q&A section and we will look into it. Also, we have a Pathfinder giveaway. So thanks a lot for joining us in this session. If you stay till the end, you will be entered to win one of the 3 swag packs, and winners will be notified through email. Okay, so let's get started. I will hand this over to Jason. Jason, I'm going to unshare my screen. Please take it here from now.
Yep, I will do that. Thanks very much, Arjun. And as I mentioned earlier, welcome everybody. We're really excited to present to you today, talk to you a little bit more about what AI agents are, because I was looking through the chat and it sounds like there's a number of folks that have never heard that term before. And then we'll really deep dive into our vision of how we go and build these AI agents within A360. I'm going to start this morning, this afternoon, this evening, kicking off and talking kind of at a high level. For those of you that were able to go and join us at our Imagine conference back in June down here in Texas, we introduced our new kind of third wave of automation we're calling AI plus Automation Enterprise System. You'll notice at the bottom, we've got our kind of core automation system here. This is what you've known us for the last 20 plus years, focusing on task-centric automation with RPA bots. Recently introducing a new capability called API tasks that allows customers to go and take advantage of serverless automations that run in the cloud, so there's no infrastructure required and can tie into various different systems and execute incredibly quickly. And of course, all of our integration capability that we've had for a while, as well as COE Manager, and then our big enhancements around process orchestration, which I actually see an example of today. On top of that, we've got our AI system. Now, this isn't something necessarily that's new, as much as this is an area where we're continuing to do deep innovation and investment. And it comes across in a couple different ways, from the custom trained foundational LLM models that we have within our product today that power capabilities like our AI Automator suite, for things like suggest next action. Whenever you're adding an action to the canvas, we can actually recommend the next potential action you might want to utilize, to things like Generative Recorder, which actually helps you whenever you've deployed your automations and are running those in production. Maybe a page changes that you're doing some integration with, or you're trying to automate, actually falling back and catching that and using generative AI to go and save you from having to rebuild that automation, save it from failing in production, and actually self-healing. Through process discovery, which is a capability that we have had in the platform for the last several years that allows you to go and actually record everything that's happening within a business user's workday, and then export that into our cloud for processing. And we'll actually recommend you a business process that has generated out of that. And from that, you can take that into a brand new capability we have that's called Autopilot, which will actually go and generate and translate that understood process into an automation, helping you actually build faster. The big thing that we introduced at Imagine this year, however, was our AI Agent Studio. And this is going to allow you to go and build AI agents across your deployment, really infusing in the power of generative AI, but in a safe and responsible way. And we'll spend a lot of time on that particular topic here this morning. Lastly, we've got a brand new set of AI solutions. These are going to be built directly on top of the capabilities of our automation and AI systems, and allow you as end users, as customers, maybe even as partners, to go and get started more quickly with some out-of-the-box examples of different solutions. The first one we shipped is for service operations. That's available both in the AWS marketplace as well as within the bot store. And we've got a number of different vertical and horizontal solutions that we have planned for the rest of this year and beyond. Now, with that, let me go ahead and jump in and talk a little bit about how we define an AI agent. For those of you that aren't aware, AI agents are kind of the new, or what we consider as the third wave of automation capabilities that are being introduced into the marketplace. Several different vendors have announced support and focus around agentic processes, or processes that utilize AI agents. We believe that our offering is a little bit different because we combine the power of what's called an AI skill with action. An AI skill, as we define it, is really taking those generative AI models from great vendors such as OpenAI, Azure OpenAI, Google Vertex, Amazon Knowledge Base, Hugging Face, all others, and then allowing you to go and evaluate those models and then write the very best prompt in the way that it can integrate with these generative AI models. Now, we recognize that a lot of times models will have what's called hallucination. That's where the model will give you some feedback. It seems incredibly accurate, but in fact, it's not. So we've also provided the ability to ground your model responses in what's called enterprise data. That's essentially allowing you to go and upload content to enrich the responses of those models, and to ensure that if you're going to use them in scenarios where you need to make decisions on those responses, that they're as accurate and as grounded as possible. And then lastly, capabilities to go and kind of fine tune the interaction with these models. There's a brand new field emerging called prompt engineering. And traditionally, things like connecting to a model, evaluating a model, writing and tuning a prompt, these have all been things that data science teams typically focus on. Just like pro developers, there's not enough data scientists either. And my guess is that for a majority of you on this call, that's not where your background lies. And those aren't necessarily the skill sets that you have. So with our new AI Agent Studio, we've really focused on how can we bring a lot of these core capabilities into the platform. And we'll talk more about that here in a second. Now, for us, an AI agent isn't just interacting with the generative AI model. There's a lot of tools out there that can do that. We believe that our differentiator lies in the ability to pair the outcome of that interaction with action. And so that's going to be taking advantage of all of the automation capabilities that we have within the platform, be it traditional UI automation through taskbots, be it our new capabilities through API tasks, stitching together and utilizing these AI agents within a process that you're building, be it something like Process Composer, and then always allowing you to go and include humans whenever you need to, pardon me, not as part of the creation process, but really more as a review step, ensuring that the AI capabilities that you're utilizing are generating outcomes that you think will actually be useful and provide the most value in your solutions. Sitting underneath all of this is a deep, rich security and governance layer. Now, we're building on top of the investments we've already made in the platform with introducing new capabilities around AI governance, giving you deep insights to everything every interaction that you have with these different foundational models. So let's talk a little bit about AI Agent Studio. I've given you the kind of the concepts around what an AI agent is. AI Agent Studio, as I mentioned, is embedded directly within the control room. And it's a set of tools and capabilities that allow you to go and build AI agent solutions and utilize those across your processes and across your organization. It's an open platform, and we give you the power to choose to integrate with a varied number of different LLMs. So whether you're a customer that's utilizing OpenAI or Azure OpenAI, as I mentioned earlier, Vertex or Bedrock, and in the future, even new capabilities to connect to custom models going forward. Once you've made that connection to the model, we also give you the opportunity to evaluate and optimize what you're building against that model. If you've done anything with foundational or LLM models so far, you know that every model is great at one or two particular things, but there's very few models that are great at everything. So your use case might vary, and it might require you to go and evaluate different foundational models to figure out which is the best particular one for the needs that you have. And so we give you that capability. And then lastly, after you've chosen your model, you've written your prompt, you can actually go use those as these reusable concepts, these reusable skills. These skills can be embedded in your automations to create an AI agent, and then your AI agents can be utilized within a process to go and take that forward. So in order to go and ground some of this today, we're actually going to go and show you a demo example. So in this particular example, this happens to be a support case handling example, probably something that everyone here is particularly familiar with. There's a couple of different personas and roles that we'll touch on here in today's example. We'll start with our automation admin, Jake. Jake's responsible for going and creating and establishing the connections to these foundational models that are approved for use within his organization, and then making those available to Marcus. Marcus is going to be our pro developer, and his job is to take the connections that Jake gives him and then go and tune prompts against those for the support case, use case that he happens to have. Once that skill is built, he can share that in the organization, and we can actually allow Sue to come in as a citizen developer and wire that into a process that she's been working on and building. And then lastly, Rochelle, who's our GRC lead, needs to go and audit all of the interactions that have happened so far across the organization and ensure that the business, or the development team rather, is complying to the requirements of how they use AI responsibly at the organization. So with that, I'm actually going to go ahead and jump right into a demo. So let me stop sharing real quick. And I'm just going to get out of my PowerPoint slides. And I will move over here. As I mentioned, as I'm going through today's demonstration, please put any of your questions into the chat, the Q&A. Myself will, Rinku and Smita and Arjun will try to monitor that as we're going on, and I'll be happy to go and answer some questions after the section of my demo. So we're actually going to start in Process Composer. I wanted to start here and give you kind of a macro level view of exactly what's happening. So we see that we have got a process built. Now, Sue is working on this process. And the reason that she chose a process is because support case handling is long running. It's not something that happens, one or two individual tasks. It's actually many different steps that are being coordinated together. And you can see in this particular example, she actually has a couple of different AI agents already configured. So she's got one to get the sentiment from a support case. She's got another that will go and suggest some KB articles to the customer. And the overall process here is that an email is going to come into a monitored support inbox. And we want to go and read through that email and attempt to go and try to detect the tone or the sentiment of that particular email. If that tone or sentiment is below a particular threshold level, we want to get that to an actual, L2 or L3 support agent as quickly as possible, so a human. But if it's not, if it's something that's really more of a question, or it's something that we actually think we can solve through some support cases, maybe that we've already, answered, or maybe some knowledge base articles that we've created, we want to actually try to divert that, utilize an AI agent to respond to the person that submitted the case and provide that information without ever getting a human involved. So let's actually start and see how we would go and start to build out these AI agents to support this particular use case. Now, I'm going to switch roles a couple different times here. So in this particular case, I've now kind of switched over, as you can imagine. I put on a different hat, and now I'm Jake, and I'm in the CR. And my first step is I need to actually go and build what's called a model connection. So you'll note on the left hand here, we have a link for model connections. This is going to give me the opportunity to go and create a new model connection. I've already got one that I've been playing with earlier. I've given it to the team, and the feedback they gave me was that the model wasn't really performing the way that they thought. You'll notice here that we have, as I mentioned earlier, an open platform that allows you to connect to all the different leading models from all the different vendors. And in the future, we're actually going to be shipping support for custom models that you can either host in your own infrastructure or from other different hyperscalers. I'm going to go ahead and walk you through how you go and actually create a brand new model connection, though, from scratch. So I'll click on Create Model Connection. This allows me to walk through this wizard. Now, I can only create a model connection if I've been given the right level of permissions. We've introduced a whole new set of permissions that support model connection creation, that support the ability to go and create AI agents, and that support the ability actually go to see all of the governance capabilities that happen under the scenes. And Riku's going to take you through all the governance pieces here in a minute. So let me call this a new one. So we'll say Dev Meetup support case. And I can go and select from a vendor. You notice I have multiple different vendors here. In this particular case, I'm going to choose Amazon Bedrock, and I'm going to look at this Claude 2.1 model. Next, I need to go and provide some authentication details. Now, this is something that either Jake would have access to directly from the AWS portal, or maybe he's provided a couple of key pieces of information. He knows that the region that the organization is deployed in, and he also knows that some credential keys, some access keys, and a secret key have been published in the credential vault. So he's just going to go and pick for AI Agent Studio, Amazon Bedrock, and the various different keys that he happens to need to go here. Of course, you could always go in a dev instance, type these in insecurely, but as we always recommend, best practice is to put these in a credential vault. The next step here is to go and test this connection. What testing this connection does is it ensures that all the details that I'm working on right now and I'm building actually will work for other users whenever I share this model connection here in a second. So with this model connection sort of named, all the authentication details provided, and now that the connection has been validated, I can go and do what's called invite roles. Invite roles allows me to go and share this model connection with a particular user, team, group, role, however you want to go and manage it. We believe that this is really the first piece of governance that we're providing with an AI Agent Studio, and that it's incredibly foundationally important. This is what allows you to be ensured that only the right people are connecting to certain models at the right time. In this case, I've already got a role here that I want to go and manage this to, and I'll just hit Create Model Connection. That's fantastic. So my model connection is created. That's awesome. Now I'm actually going to go, and I'm just going to move this around a second. Now I'm actually going to go and I'm going to open up a new tab real quick. And let me walk you through how it actually takes to go and build an AI skill. So I've actually jumped directly into repo now. So now imagine I'm Marcus. So I've been notified or told by Jake that a new model connection is available for me. And I want to see if I can use that in the AI skill that I've already built to see if the performance improves from the model. I'll jump into an AI skill folder here. You can see I've got a number of different AI skills. Again, these are all going to be protected or controlled by the native RBAC that exists within the repo. So if I don't have access to the folder or I don't have access to the individual skill, I won't be able to utilize it in other situations. And I'll show you that here in a little bit. And of course, because we've also shared this with Marcus, we're ensuring that there's that additional layer of governance to be able to even speak or connect to the foundational model. Now, I have one already that I've been working on that's called tone detection. So let me open that up. And you can see that here's kind of the experience. The entire point of this screen is to give you the ability to quickly go and kind of switch between different model connections to effectively go and evaluate what the experience or the interaction is going to be like with the prompts that you're writing. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just kick this off, and this will give you a sense to sort of see what the current experience is like. So I've written a prompt. And basically the prompt, if you can read that, says the intent is for the model to go and read some text and then essentially go and rate it with a tone rating and a sentiment rating. And you can see that I got that information back. It had a tone of 2 and the sentiment was negative. That's not incredibly powerful or really that helpful for me. I might actually want some additional information about why this is a 2 instead of a 5, why the sentiment is negative instead of maybe something like positive, because I want to use that as I'm doing my evaluation and my rules within the process. So in this case, let's actually switch our models. So I'm going to hit choose here, and you'll notice I've got a ton of different models that are available to me here. Here's the dev meetup model that we just created. I'm going to hit choose, and now I'll hit get response. You may notice that in this particular prompt, I've also got this dollar text to analyze dollar. Now, this is what we call as a prompt input. This prompt input is the way that we connect this prompt to automation. Again, we're kind of going back to that concept around the way that we define a skill, right? Or rather, the way that we define an agent is the power of combining it with a skill, which we're building here, and with automation, which we'll show you in a second. Prompt inputs are the things that connects that together. In this testing scenario, I have basically like an example input that I want to use. And so this is this represents effectively, if you will, an email that would come in for a customer. I've written out my prompt and I've provided all of this when I hit get response to the model. The model has come back when you can see there's a ton more information here. So, Claude 2.1, a little bit more advanced model than the original. I think I was using GPT 3.5 initially, and I've got a lot more detail here. Now, of course, you can always go and fine tune this. Every single model has what's called model configuration parameters. And so you see things like max tokens, temperature, top K, top P. And if you don't know what any of those mean, don't worry. If you just hover over these little eyes, you'll get some more detail here. And Smita and the docs team have done a fantastic job describing these model configuration properties in much more detail within our documentation pages. So I feel pretty good about this particular prompt. Now let's see, how can I go and use this actually in an automation? So if I jump back into my support case triage, now I'm going to switch hats again. Now I'm back to being Sue. Again, I mentioned earlier, Sue's working on this process, and she's actually stubbed out a couple of different agents. She knew that she needed to go and integrate into foundational model and actually utilize that in an agent. So she's got this evaluate, support, email, and create case agent. Pardon me. Again, an agent for us is the combination of some interaction with the foundational model. We call that an AI skill, and then powering that with a decision or an action that you're going to go and take. Now, Sue doesn't know anything about foundational models. She's heard about LLM, she's heard about ChatGPT, but she doesn't know which is the right one to use. She doesn't have any of the credential details or even really know how to connect to one. She doesn't really understand or know what a prompt does. She definitely doesn't know how to go and tune that, but it doesn't really matter because she knows that Marcus has all that detail and he's created a skill for her to use within her automation. And so let's see how she can go and do that. So as Arjun mentioned, we have some new capabilities within our automation capabilities. I'm just going to type generative, and you'll notice that I've got a couple different file folders here. The action in the command package we're going to be using today is called Generative AI Prompt Template, and there's an execute action. I'm just going to grab that execute action and I'll add it to the canvas. And when I do that, you'll see that I have the opportunity to go and select a prompt template, and I'll go from there. So again, I'm selecting a prompt template, or what we call as an AI skill. This is also using that RBAC capabilities. So this is ensuring that as Sue, I can only utilize AI skills that I have access to. And because I'm in the right role, I can also only go and talk to particular foundational models that I've been given access to as well. If I go and look at our browse and I jump into AI skills, here's that tone detection that we were working with earlier, and I'll hit choose. So with this wired up now, you can see I've got that example prompt. Again, I don't know, I didn't write this prompt. This is really just giving me as a citizen developer a preview of what the prompt could look like. So I have some context of kind of what's going to happen here. It allows me to go and pass in, again, here's that automation context. So I can go and pass in a variable. And in this particular case, it's going to be our input case ID. I'll do that. I can also go and save that response to a variable if I want to. So let's just say response from model. And then when I run this, what will happen is the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go and utilize that AI skill to go and essentially dynamically assemble a prompt under the covers and send that to a model. The model is going to come back with that big response, and I'm going to go and kind of parse through that. And then I've done a decision here. If the output case sentiment, which again is something we've extracted from that prompt response, if it's below or equal to 3, I want to go and create a Salesforce record. Salesforce happens to be the platform that this company utilizes for all of their casework. And so when that email comes in, I actually want to go and create a case. This is the example of us tying together generative AI with an action. And so we've done that within the context of an agent. If we pop back into our overall process, we'll see that coming out of this agent, we kind of evaluate what's happened. And if we have actually gone and created a case within Salesforce, we can just do a simple notification to a human support agent so they know that they've got a case assigned and they need to go and review that. If we don't go down that path, this gives us the opportunity to involve another AI agent. And in this particular in this particular AI agent, I'm going to go and query a RAG service. Now, for those of you that don't know, RAG is an acronym. It stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. And it's a way to go and combine your own organizational data with a model so that the responses are grounded. They're coming back with a higher level of accuracy. And in many cases, it's because they're actually essentially adding on additional information into their training set so that they have more relevance and more context. In this particular case, we've connected our enterprise knowledge base with a model, so we can actually go and query that. And this agent would go and find relevant knowledge base articles and potentially return that to the user instead, again, not having to go and employ a human in the loop for that. Now, our RAG capabilities allow you to go and connect to RAGs that exist on different hyperscalers, as well as a capability we have within the platform that's called Enterprise Knowledge, which is an Automation Anywhere provided RAG service. So I've taken you through a lot in the last, let's say, 15, 20 minutes. We've talked about how we can go and create a model connection. We've built that connection. We've then utilized that in an AI skill. And I've talked to you about how you can go and evaluate different models, how you can figure out the best way to go and tune the prompt for your particular use case. Once you're happy with that combination or that configuration, go and generate that as this reusable AI skill. And this AI skill can be utilized kind of in any solution you want to build or in any AI agent that you want to go and work with. And then how we can go and actually build an AI agent and then use that within a process. So with that, I'm going to actually transition over. I'm going to hand this over to Rinku, who's going to show us what it's like now that we've been running in production for a couple of weeks now. What does the governance side of this look like? How are we showing all of the interactions between everything that's happening here? Rinku, I'll stop sharing and hand it over to you.
Thank you, Jason.
Jason, if you
ahead.
don't mind, sorry for that interruption, Rinku. There are a couple of questions, Jason, you may want to just help answer because it's connected to the topics which you just covered.
Sure.
There's one topic around. First, can you show us the navigation of how did you navigate to the prompt template?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to do that. Let me get back into sharing real quick. So in the current release, in the .33 release, the way that you would get to something like that is, let me just go home real quick. And again, this is all driven by governance. So there are a set of permissions that we have introduced for both model connections and for AI governance. If you don't have access to those permissions, you will not see these links within your environment. The first one is going to be under Manage Model Connections. Again, brand new for 33. That gives you access to go and access those model connections. If you want to go and build an AI skill, that's going to actually be an asset within the repository. So to do that, you simply go in here and hit create in either one of those areas, and you'll notice we have this prompt template here. Just as a heads up, for the next release, 34, we're actually going to move some of the navigation around to make it a little bit easier for folks to find. We'll talk to you more about that whenever 34 comes out in the October timeframe. But for the current release, this is the path to get there.
Okay, great. Thank you. There are a couple of other questions, like just the way we can send the prompt. Can we also send files?
In the current version, we do not support file support. We're only text-based right now. However, we are looking at, and we do have a future roadmap item where we'll be able to go and include the sending of files as well. And we're going to introduce new models that are multimodal, meaning that they can work with both text, files, video, and they can also not only ingest that, but also create that as part of the generation process. And so that's something that's going to be coming in a future update.
Okay, thank you. And is there like a size of the prompt we can send in?
The size of the prompt is going to be limited or managed by the model itself. So every model has sort of the different, what we call context windows or information that it can receive. I don't believe we have a hard limit size on the actual skill though. So if I go into like tone detection as an example, I don't believe we have a physical limit size here today on how big this can be. A lot of this will just depend on the size that the model can accept.
Okay, thank you. How can we send emails as input?
Emails as input. So yeah, so this is kind of an example of what I have done here. So you would simply go and configure some kind of automation to go in and as an email comes in, watch that email inbox, extract the text from that. And then as I mentioned, we have this concept of prompt inputs. And so you would, the way that I've done it here and the way we have this configured, this prompt input is an example of text that came in from an email. And so we've simply, in this example, we're testing it. But as I mentioned earlier, in the actual sort of running example, we would extract that email text from the email, and we would send that as a prompt input into the AI skill, which would then, at runtime, generate effectively a very large prompt and send that over to the foundational model.
Okay, thank you. How do we validate the prompt result? Do we have any scoring mechanism?
So today we don't have a scoring mechanism per se. A lot of the validation happens in this experience. Actually, in a future release, and maybe Rinku can touch on this a little bit in the governance section, we're going to be introducing new capabilities around guardrails, where we will actually provide some scoring capabilities based upon things like toxicity and others. And I'll let Rinku speak a little bit more about that maybe in her section.
Okay, great. Can we provide training to get the correct output?
Can we provide training to get the correct output? I'm assuming what that question means is, can we utilize something? So the way that this entire approach works is called like one shot, essentially, where you're essentially presenting a prompt to a model and taking that response. In this particular example, or in this particular approach, there isn't necessarily training per se because every prompt is considered sort of independent. However, the point of this whole screen is to effectively go and tune the way that you've written the prompt, or maybe even the configurations for this given prompt, so that you're able to get the most, or the best, I should say, outcome out of that particular model. If you want to go and do something like expanded tuning, I've seen that kind of happen two different ways. One is actually to use a fine-tuned version of a model, and we're actually going to be providing support for fine-tuned models in the next release. So you could take one of the models we have out of the box today, and we provide you the ability to go and access, and then fine tune that. So you're basically adding in your own information. That'll help a lot of the results or the accuracy of those models. The second way is what I mentioned earlier, which is that concept around enterprise knowledge, which is that RAG capability. That's another way to kind of think about improving the accuracy through prompting.
Okay. Other than sentiment analysis, are there other functions, models available like classification, language deduction?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably millions of models that are available out there. And as I mentioned, these foundational models, they're trained in multiple different capabilities. So, this analysis or sentiment and sort of tone detection is one very sort of simple or basic example just to kind of prove the point of how the tools work. But you can actually ask models to do a various number of things. They're trained really on the public internet up until about a certain date, usually within the last, say, 12 months or so. And obviously, the newer model you select would have a larger training set, as well as more capabilities. These models are evolving really, really rapidly over time. And as I mentioned, these are models that we support today from various different hyperscalers. There's like 600,000 models that are available for use that are more custom or bespoke. And so a lot of times we see customers, instead of going with a very large model that can do a lot of different things, focusing on a bespoke or specific model, or maybe even a model they built that's hyper-focused and has really incredibly great results on a single task. Again, we will be providing support for custom models in a future release.
Okay, just take two more questions before we proceed.
Sure.
Can you show us how the RBAC control looks like for this?
Sure. Yeah. And again, it's going to be the standard RBAC that you would have. So for instance, whenever I'm in something like a folder, as an example, it would be the ability to go and, create and share that folder with other people. A lot of this will depend on the roles that the current user is in. If they have the opportunity to go and even, create an automation or see the repo kind of in the first spot. But then again, we can always go and manage who has access to these particular folders as well. So we manage sort of access to this in multiple different layers, first starting with the model connection, then with that AI skill, and then ultimately with the agent itself. And we can track and audit all of that under the covers as well.
Okay, just one more question. Is the RAG module provided by AA can be used to fine tune? It's like, can I use my internal documents to get responses?
Yeah, so great question. So for there, as I mentioned earlier, there's a couple different ways to manage RAG. We've got separate generative AI command packages that you can use that connect to the hyperscalers. We're going to be bringing native hyperscaler response augmented generation or retrieval augmented generation capabilities into AI Agent Studio from those hyperscalers in our next release. And then we do have this capability that's called Enterprise Knowledge. Enterprise Knowledge is it's a separate offering, but it's kind of related to AI Agent Studio. It allows you to go and upload your own information. So that could be Word docs, PDFs, Excel files, like a whole bunch of different stuff that might be relevant, and allow you to go and query against that like you would basically writing a prompt and then getting that response back and then using that in automation. So there's multiple different ways to handle that within the platform today.
Okay, thank you. In the interest of time, I think we will continue. Maybe Jason, you can help us answer some questions in the Q&A section.
Happy to. I'll turn it over to Rinku.
Sure. Thank you. Rinku, all yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason. That was a really cool demo. And team, I think you've all seen how we have augmented all the capabilities for you to leverage an AI within your automations to realize the productivity gains that you're already seeing. So with that said, let me transition and share my desktop. So the governance is here. We are providing the visibility and ability to monitor all the exchanges with the LLM models. Now, with that said, we have made sure that, all these interactions, the data that we store is all secured and, protected using industry standards, right? So here, AI governance is a new introduction on an extension of our audit framework, where we will be storing data for monitoring the interactions. So once, again, this is all based on permissions, based on the user's role, and I'll touch base on that in a bit. But let me show you from the navigation aspect. Under administration, we have added the AI governance. And when you now land onto the AI governance section, you'll see the AI prompt log and event log. So AI prompt log essentially gives you a list of all the sessions that took place when the automations were executed. Here you will see every session being denoted by a session ID. When you drill down into a respective session, you can see all the details pertaining to that session, how long the session took place, what kind of an automation was that, was it using a prompt template that Jason just demonstrated? What was the start time? What was the run as user? What device was it executed on? So all those details are provided here along with the prompt and the response that was exchanged during that session. We've also added a bunch of more details around those exchanges. Here you will see, what was the external ID of that exchange. Along with that, what were the models that were used, who were the publishers for those models, and as well as the parameters that were shared during those. So these parameters are very important if you're trying to decipher, the model performance, like top P lets you, identify the balance between predictability and creativity. So these are some of the parameters you saw when you were creating the prompt template. You were able to enter those parameters. So these are those parameters that are passed when those interactions happen. So let me show you here. So using this session ID, if we go down further into the event logs, you can now drill down into every event that took place within that session. So here, when you put that session ID, you'll see what are all the events that took place to establish that session. So you have multiple of those, like setting up the model connection, the response received, the send prompts, etc. So here, when you go into all the details, again, you can see the time when this happened, what were the parameters shared, what was the actual prompt, etc. So this gives you a complete 360-degree view of all the interactions that took place. And again, these are all exportable in CSV format. You can export them. You can slice and dice them based on filter criteria that has been provided here. So all of those good stuff come along with the logging here that you see. So this is really giving you a full control and auditability of all the exchanges. Additionally, in future releases, what we will do is we will provide rich set of analytics where you can see what are the models used across your automation estate, what is the token consumption looking like for all automation. So those are some of the future additions you will see in the next upcoming release. Now, with that said, let me show you some of the prerequisites. I did see some questions around, the permissions. So yes, we have added a new set of permissions. And let me start by showing you here. So if you go to our roles page, and if you look for the AI permissions, they are all grouped here under AI governance. So all of these set of views are behind permission sets. So the summary view is through the prompt logs and the event log permissions, and then the detail views are tucked underneath each of them. So remember, the prompt details and the event details contain the sensitive prompts and model responses. So it is being restricted behind permissions. Additionally, I think there was a question for managing the models that Jason just demonstrated. Yes, those are also behind permissions. Users with the relevant permissions will be able to view or manage the model connections. So these are all the permissions we have added here, which are available through our role-based access control. Now, the data logging is an interesting part, and we have introduced a setting for that. So all the data log, all the prompts and the model responses that you saw during those interactions, they are all controlled through the logging settings here. Once you enable the data logging settings, that's when you see the prompts and the model responses. So this is a conscious decisions. Again, certain customers are very sensitive about storage of prompts and responses. Hence, we have given you full control of that storage as well. So do refer our data privacy policies on the storage of those data points. Additionally, you can leverage your SIEM integration. So if you have one in-house and you want to forward these logs to your internal QRadar or a Splunk system that you might have, you can configure and integrate the control room with those platforms and forward these logs over to your own SIEM platform. So this gives you full control of your data.
Sorry for the interruption. Do you mind just zooming in a little more? The text is too small on this.
Let me try that.
Yeah. in the
Is that
URL, there
better?
is, yeah, this is okay. Thank you.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, so these are, so that you can basically use our available SIM integrations. This is how you can add in all the credentials and the connectivity details in this space. And basically this will allow you to forward all the logs to your SIM integrated SIM platform. With that, pretty much this is a great extension. All the, as I said, analytics will be added. I think there was a question around monitoring toxicity, monitoring content. Yes, that's a future addition we are considering in our roadmap. In future, we will be providing you ability to monitor and control model responses and prompts based on toxicity, as well as ability to identify sensitive entities that are embedded within these prompts. So you will be able to mask them based on your usage. So those are some upcoming roadmap items in future as future additions. So there was another question somebody asked about how does this help? How does this solution help with the existing Gen AI command packages? These features that we introduced through AI Agent Studio augments those capabilities. So with the introduction of Gen AI command packages, we offered you the flexibility to connect to multiple models and use them within automations. AI Agent Studio offers you the suite of features that will allow you to fine-tune your prompts, test and evaluate against multiple model connections before you productize them or before you consume them within your automations. So our open and flexible platform, on one hand, has allowed you to connect to multiple large language models, as I mentioned, securely. This, on one hand, has helped you realize the productivity gains, and on the other hand, has also raised concern about governance and security challenges, which we have addressed through the set of capabilities which we just demonstrated. And we will continue to add more future capabilities that will give you more control and governance over the usage of AI within the automation estate. So with the AI Agent Studio, we are offering new tooling and governance capabilities to ensure you scale your generative AI investments securely and responsibly. So the features allow you, as I demonstrated, to securely store the prompts data, whether you store it within the A360 or you decide to forward it to a SIM platform that you've already integrated with. We are using industry standard algorithms for encrypting the prompts and the model responses, as well as TLS for all the communications between the control rooms and the LLM models. Enforcement of AI use policies through model connections. You saw that you can use only approved and compliant models. You can connect to these models securely. We've leveraged credential vault integrations here where the credentials can be securely stored. So we've ensured that security is implemented at all stages of the AI features, right? Role-based access control, we have already demonstrated that all of these features and access to the data is behind permissions. So only users based on their roles and relevant permissions will be able to use these and leverage these features. And finally, the monitoring and auditing is key to governance. And with the audit capability that we demonstrated, you're able to get a 360-degree view of all the activities around the AI, as well as in future, you will see rich set of analytics to constantly monitor the usage and consumption of models and tokens within the automation estate. Any questions, Arjun, you want to take up before we transition to Smita for the docs?
Yes, Rinku, like what's the retention period of the log saved?
Good question. So we have embedded within the UI the retention, the policy for the retention period. The default now is 180 days.
Okay, thank you. Just looking around, a couple of other questions. Would it be is it like it's going to use one session ID for one prompt? Is that how it works?
No, a session ID here is to be treated as an ID that is associated with an execution, automation execution. So within an execution, you can have multiple exchanges. So treat the session ID as an automation session ID.
Okay. Sure. And there's one more question. I think probably Jason already answered it. Can we send both user and system prompts? I'm
So
not sure
great
if
question. So today, the way that the prompt tooling works is that you embed everything within that single prompt window. We actually will just send that over under the covers as a user prompt. However, we are looking to introduce new capabilities around specific system prompt tuning capabilities in a future release.
Okay. Can we use it in a loop?
Yes. So you could go and build individual AI skills and then utilize those AI skills within an agent. You could also go and do looping within other like process compose and other capabilities like that as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
And if we require AI governance option under ERP CTR, do you know what that is, Rinku, by any chance?
No, unfortunately.
Okay, Sunil, do you want to elaborate on what you're specifically referring to when you mentioned like ERP CTR? Okay, maybe like feel free to reach out to us. Like you're talking about enterprise control room. Do we need AI governance option under enterprise control room? What's the licensing model essentially? Like, would this have a separate license?
So
Yeah.
sorry,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
We've introduced a new licensing capability called the Enterprise SKU. That Enterprise SKU contains AI Agent Studio, everything you saw today. It also contains API tasks as well as connector builder and several other features. And AI Agent Studio, as I mentioned, is contained within that offering.
Okay, thank you for that clarity. Okay, I hope Sunil that answers your questions. Mohan also had similar questions, so we should be covered on that side. Will it use an open or private environment?
I looked at that question, and Niraj, I'm not exactly sure what you meant by open or private. The way that AI Agent Studio model connections work is that you connect that to essentially a publicly available model, but those models, obviously, I think as you would have seen, require your own credentials. So you're connecting to your instances of those models. If you're a customer that utilizes let's say private cloud, or you have deployments of models, hosted somewhere else, then we are looking to bring what we would consider sort of custom model connections that would allow you to go and connect to those types of models in the near future.
Okay. Like for every request and responses, who will bear the license? Would it be Automation Anywhere or the respective LLMs?
It's actually going to be the customer. So whenever the customer connects, whenever you're connecting using a model connection, you're providing, very simply an API key or access keys, as you would have seen when I created the connection to that Anthropic model that's hosted on Amazon Bedrock. So all of the licensing for those models would be, and all the token consumption would be incurred within your hyperscaler or your particular LLM vendor.
Okay. Another question was, is it flexible for cloud enabled, or on-prem? I believe currently we are talking about only cloud.
Cloud only. We are looking to bring an on-prem version of the enterprise SKU that AI Agent is included in to customers either later this calendar year or the very beginning of next calendar year.
Okay. Any rough ETA on when API task would be coming to on-premise? I don't know if that's a valid question for this.
Sure. No, I mean, API tasks is a part of the enterprise SKU. It will not be coming in this initial version of the on-prem release of enterprise SKU, mainly because of the infrastructure requirements and the way that we built API tasks was really cloud first, cloud native. And so we know that this is an ask for our on-prem customers, and we're looking to figure out ways to go and provide that for them. We just don't have a timeline on that, or at least I don't personally.
Okay. And one more question is like, how do we store all these data in the cloud? Does that need the clients to procure additional cloud space, or is it provided as part of the subscription by Automation Anywhere?
Yeah, it's part of the subscription. Of course, it is subject to the retention period that I mentioned. So all of this will be stored within your tenancy, within our production environment, secured with encryption algorithms we're using. But again, data will be purged beyond the retention period I called out. Additionally, you can use your own SIM platform if you need longer retention periods and if you want to forward these logs to your in-house Splunk or QRadar systems.
Okay, thank you for answering all the questions. I think now we are ready to hand it over to Smita.
Thank you, Arjun. Thank you, Rinku, Jason. Fabulous presentation. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, hopefully you're able to see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm excited to introduce you to our documentation portal, your go-to resource for all things related to our products and services. Whether you're just starting or looking to deepen your expertise, our portal is designed to provide you with comprehensive, easy to access information. Let's take a closer look at how this powerful tool can support you in achieving your goals. I'd like to walk you through the content layout for AI Agent Studio hosted on the Automation Anywhere documentation portal. I will also share some key features of the documentation portal that you can take advantage of to enhance your browsing experience. Let's start from the documentation portal homepage. This is an external portal accessible to all. You can navigate to docs.automationanywhere.com for the portal homepage. Right here. This is where your product content experience begins. You can use search or the tile to navigate to the AI Agent Studio content. Right here. And this is the tile. So let's use the tile today and go ahead and jump right into the entire AI Agent Studio product offering that consists of AI tools and AI governance. You can access the product suite for AI tools and governance from either here or from the links provided here. Let's use the navigation on the left-hand side. Move this bar away. So let's jump right into the tools. This is the conceptual information or the conceptual topic for AI tools with a video explaining what the concept is all about with benefits and an architectural visual diagram on how it works in the backend. I have seen a lot of questions regarding availability, which is basically the licensing information. You can get that here. The getting started topic basically introduces you to the different features and functionalities of the tools through a simple example. The most important topic that I would like to call your attention to is the roles and permissions. This particular topic gives you an overview on all the users or the personas who will be using the tools and the roles and permissions required for each one of them. As Jason mentioned, the first part in the flow is creating a model connection, and these are detailed steps on how you can do it in the UI. And once you've created a model connection by connecting to to the supported and available foundational models, you would use them to connect to a prompt template. And there is a brief video walking you through how to create a prompt template in the UI. and of course, detailed steps in the UI that you can go through to create a prompt template. Once you've created the prompt template, you would use it in a task bot or a process, and these are the steps that walk you through that. Okay, there's a lag. All I had for you today. Thank you for your audience, and back to you, Arjun.
Okay, thanks a lot, Smita. Though she had some audio issues, still she tried her best to show all the features to us. So thanks a lot for that, Smita. I'd just like to show you two more slides. I mean, essentially the live pages. Just want to showcase what's coming up next in terms of our community events. Let me know once you're able to see my screen. Hope it's visible now. So if you go to community.automationanywhere.com, this is where you can go to community, and then you will get to see all the events listed here, like all the programs listed here. So there are developer meetups happening, there's a product club, there's a user group. So if you just click on this developer meetup, this will show you all the list of upcoming events. So currently we are on the Introducing AI Agent Studio session. Next, we also have on September 26th, that's the topic about exploring Automation Anywhere control room APIs. So this is going to be an interesting session as well. So please do consider signing up for this session to know how you can invoke Automation Anywhere's control room APIs through different mechanisms. I will not go into depth of the topic, but I would encourage you to register for this session. And also, as requested in the chat window, I've just put in my post on LinkedIn about joining this session. So if you could share your feedback on this session in this link, this will help a lot. The main reason is we want to reach out to more developers, and this is our way of asking your help to reach out to your network. Also, one more thing is, like, once you log into our Automation Anywhere University, and you log into our LMS, if you just type in AI Agent Studio, you will get a video which talks about how you can learn AI Agent Studio. This is one. And if you're interested to learn about prompt engineering, you can just look for prompt engineering. And there are two skill boosters for it. One is like prompt engineering for automation developers. And then we also have prompt engineering for data extraction and analysis as well. So feel free to take a look at these skill posters to learn more about prompt engineering and also AI Agent Studio. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to share. Any other last questions? I think Jason already answered this question, but just in the interest of others, like, do we have a leverage to create our own models as well?
So yeah, customers are free to go and create their own models. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to be utilizing or making it possible for customers to connect to custom models or maybe models that we don't provide support for natively out of the box with AI Agent Studio in a future release.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Jason and Rinku, for sharing all the insights and sharing about how do we kind of use this in building automations which can solve use cases which we could never do it before. So that's the power AI Agent Studio is bringing, and thanks for sharing your insights. And thanks a lot, Smita, for walking us through the docs portal. And that's it. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining. I hope you liked this session. Please do share your feedback and also register for the upcoming session. We will see you next month. Thank you, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.